her limbs. It started in her fingers, that tingling sensation, then spread up her arms like warm honey. Her thoughts became slower, words harder to form. Trevor stood beside the bed, watching her with those dark eyes, a glass of water in one hand, 2 small white pills in the other. "Time for your vitamins, baby," he said, his voice smooth and caring. "You know how important these are for your health." She wanted to ask him why she needed vitamins when she'd always been healthy. She wanted to ask why she couldn't remember entire days anymore, why her business partners looked at her strangely when she couldn't recall conversations they insisted they'd had with her. But the questions dissolved before they could form into words. They always did lately. Trevor held the pills to her lips. Simone opened her mouth, but something inside her screamed to stop. It was a small voice, buried under months of confusion and fog, but tonight it was louder. Tonight she tucked the pills under her tongue instead of swallowing them. "Good girl," Trevor said, watching her throat. "Drink all the water." She drank, careful not to let the pills slip down. Her heart pounded, but she kept her face relaxed, drowsy, compliant. Trevor leaned down and kissed her forehead, and the tenderness of the gesture made her stomach turn. How long had he been doing this? How long had she been living in this fog? "I've got some work to finish in my office," Trevor said, pulling the bedroom door closed behind him. "You rest now." The moment she heard his footsteps descend the stairs, Simone spit the pills into her hand. They were wet and partially dissolved, leaving a bitter residue on her tongue. She stared at them, these innocent-looking white tablets that had been stealing her life piece by piece. She wrapped them in a tissue and hid them in her nightstand, evidence of something she didn't yet fully understand. She lay still, forcing herself to breathe slowly and evenly. Usually by now, she'd be drifting into that strange, heavy sleep that left her groggy until afternoon. But tonight, her mind remained sharp, crystal clear, frighteningly alert. 20 minutes passed, then 30. Simone heard Trevor moving around downstairs, the clink of glass, the opening and closing of his office door. She waited, playing the role of the drugged wife, while her mind raced with terrible possibilities. At 45 minutes, Trevor's footsteps came back up the stairs. Simone closed her eyes, let her mouth fall open slightly, regulated her breathing. The bedroom door creaked open. She felt him standing there watching her. Her skin crawled, but she remained perfectly still. "Simone," Trevor whispered. No response. She'd learned this performance over months without knowing she was performing it. "Baby?" He touched her shoulder, shook it gently. Simone made a small mumbling sound but didn't open her eyes. Satisfied, Trevor left the room again, this time closing the door completely. For another hour, Simone waited in the darkness, her mind growing sharper by the minute. It felt like swimming up from deep water, breaking through the surface after being submerged for so long. Memories flickered at the edges of her consciousness. Trevor always making sure she took her vitamins, Trevor looking annoyed when she forgot them, Trevor insisting she needed them because she'd been so tired lately. But she hadn't been tired before the vitamins. She'd been energetic, running her late father's construction supply company with passion and success. When had the fog started? 6 months ago? 8 months? The memories were slippery, hard to grasp. At midnight, she heard Trevor's office door open again. His footsteps were quick, purposeful. Then she heard his voice, muffled but audible through the walls. "She's out," Trevor said. He was on the phone. "Yeah, same as every night. Those pills work like magic, I swear." Simone's blood turned to ice. She slipped out of bed, moving silently to the door, pressing her ear against the wood. "No, she doesn't suspect anything," Trevor continued, and she could hear the smile in his voice. "She's been signing whatever I put in front of her. By the end of the month, I'll have complete control of her father's company. The transfer documents are already prepared." Silence as the person on the other end spoke. "Of course I'll leave her after," Trevor said, and Simone's heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. "What do you think this has all been about? I just need her signature on a few more papers, then I'm done. We can finally be together properly, Candace. No more hiding." Candace. Simone knew that name. She was a secretary at the company, a woman Simone had hired herself 6 years ago. Young, ambitious, always smiling at Trevor a little too long. Simone had dismissed her own instincts as paranoia. "The vacation house?" Trevor laughed. "Baby, that's practically yours already. She hasn't been there in months, doesn't even remember we have it. Once the divorce goes through, I'll make sure you get everything you deserve. After all, you've been so patient." The conversation continued, but Simone couldn't hear over the roaring in her ears. Trevor had been drugging her to steal her inheritance. He'd been using her confusion to forge her signature, to transfer assets, to destroy everything her father had built. And when he was done, he'd leave her with nothing, probably painting her as mentally unstable, unable to run a business, incompetent. She backed away from the door, her mind racing. How many documents had she signed without reading them? How many conversations had she forgotten? How much had she already lost? But even as fear threatened to overwhelm her, something else rose up inside her. Anger. Pure, cold, clarifying anger. Trevor thought he'd broken her. He thought he'd won. He had no idea what he'd just awakened. Simone climbed back into bed, but she didn't close her eyes. She stared at the ceiling, and for the first time in months, her mind was completely, perfectly clear. She'd been a fighter before Trevor had started poisoning her. She'd built a successful business in a male-dominated industry. She'd survived her father's death and kept his legacy alive. Tomorrow she would start fighting again. But tonight she would plan. She would be patient. She would be smart. And Trevor would never see her coming. She heard him climb the stairs again, open the bedroom door. He stood in the doorway, silhouetted against the hall light, watching her sleep. Or what he thought was sleep. Soon, he whispered to himself. Just a few more weeks. When he finally went to his own bed, they'd been sleeping in separate rooms for months. Something Trevor had suggested when she'd been too restless. At night, Simone allowed herself to move. She pulled out her phone, which Trevor had started checking regularly, and typed a single note in her password-protected app. Trevor is drugging me. Stealing company. Affair with Candace. I'm not crazy. Document everything. Trust no one. She read it 3 times, making sure it was real, that she wasn't imagining things in some drugged paranoia. But no, the conversation she'd overheard had been crystal clear. Her mind, for the first time in months, was crystal clear. Simone deleted her note and memorized it instead. She couldn't risk Trevor finding it. Tomorrow she'd have to take those pills again, have to return to the fog, have to pretend she didn't know anything. The thought terrified her. What if she forgot? What if the drugs made her forget this moment of clarity? She pulled out the tissue from her nightstand, looked at the dissolved pills. She needed to know what they were. She needed to preserve them somehow, get them tested. Evidence. She needed evidence of everything. But most of all, she needed to protect herself. Because Trevor wasn't just stealing from her. He was stealing her mind, her memories, her very identity. And that was more than theft. That was assault. Simone lay in the darkness, her heart pounding, her mind spinning plans and backup plans. She thought about her sister Denise, who'd been worried about her lately. She thought about her company, her employees, her father's legacy. She thought about Candace, probably sleeping peacefully, thinking she'd won. And she thought about Trevor, believing himself so clever, so careful, so successful in his manipulation. By dawn, Simone had a plan. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. She would continue to play the role of the drugged, confused wife. She would gather evidence. She would protect her assets. She would build a case so solid that Trevor would spend years regretting the day he decided to underestimate her. The sun rose over the city, painting their bedroom in shades of silver and blue. Simone finally allowed herself to close her eyes, not to sleep but to gather strength. The war had just begun, and she intended to win. The next morning, Simone woke to the sound of Trevor humming in the bathroom. The cheerful sound made her skin crawl. She forced herself to move slowly, groggily, like she usually did these days. Every movement had to be calculated now. Every word, every expression, every gesture. "Morning, sleepyhead," Trevor said, emerging from the bathroom in his expensive suit. He looked so handsome, so successful, so normal. Nobody would believe he was capable of what he'd done. "How'd you sleep?" Okay," Simone mumbled, rubbing her eyes. "Still tired though." "You're always tired lately," Trevor said with false concern. "Maybe we should get you checked out by a doctor. Get some blood work done." The irony wasn't lost on her. He'd probably love to have a doctor confirm she had some mysterious condition, something that would explain her confusion and forgetfulness. It would make his story more believable when he eventually claimed she was incompetent to run the company. "Maybe," she said, keeping her voice weak and uncertain. Trevor kissed her forehead before leaving for work. The gesture that had once felt loving now felt like a brand. She waited until she heard his car pull out of the driveway before moving. The moment he was gone, Simone's demeanor changed completely. She moved quickly to Trevor's office, a room he'd claimed as his own when they'd bought this house 3 years ago. The door was locked, but she knew where he kept the spare key, hidden in a book on the hallway shelf, thinking himself so clever. Her hands shook as she unlocked the door. She had maybe 10 hours before Trevor came home. She needed to use every second. Trevor's office was meticulously organized. Everything had its place, everything was labeled. He was a man who liked control, who liked order. She'd always found it admirable. Now it made her furious. She started with his computer. Trevor had taught her his password months ago, back when he'd wanted her to believe they shared everything. He probably assumed she'd forgotten it in the drug-induced fog. But she remembered, Candace 1985. Her birth year. Simone's hands clenched into fists, but she forced herself to stay calm. The computer opened to reveal folders upon folders of documents. She found the bank statements first, and what she saw made her feel physically sick. Over the past 6 months, Trevor had been systematically draining their joint accounts, transferring money to offshore accounts she'd never heard of. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Nearly everything they had. But worse were the business documents. Transfer papers that would sign over controlling interest in her father's company to Trevor. Dissolution papers for the trust her father had set up. New contracts with suppliers that paid kickbacks to Trevor's personal accounts. All of them bearing her signature. Except they weren't her real signature. They were close, very close, but she could see the slight differences. Trevor had been practicing her signature, forging it on documents she'd never seen. The pills had kept her too confused to notice missing paperwork, too foggy to read what she was actually signing. Simone pulled out her phone and started photographing everything. Every document, every bank statement, every email. Her phone storage filled quickly, so she uploaded everything to a cloud account Trevor didn't know about, one she'd opened years ago for backing up family photos. The emails were almost worse than the financial documents. Messages between Trevor and Candace going back almost a year, detailing their affair, their plans, their mockery of Simone's confusion. She actually asked me today if we'd had dinner last night, Trevor had written. I told her we had, described a whole fake conversation. She believed every word. This is almost too easy. Candace's response, poor thing. She really has no idea. I almost feel bad. Almost. Simone photographed it all with shaking hands. She wanted to scream, to break things, to confront Trevor immediately. But she couldn't. Not yet. She needed more evidence. She needed to secure her position before Trevor realized she knew. In a drawer she found the pills. Bottles and bottles of them hidden under folders. The labels had been removed, but she photographed the pills themselves, making note of their shape, color, and markings. She'd need to get them identified. She also found a journal, and this was perhaps the most damning evidence of all. Trevor had been documenting his plan like it was a business project. Started the pills today. Crushed them into her evening tea. She didn't notice. Increased dosage. She seems more confused. Perfect. Had her sign the preliminary transfer papers. She didn't even read them. This is working better than I imagined. The dates went back 8 months. 8 months of her life, stolen systematically, methodically, cruelly. Simone photographed every page of the journal. Then she carefully placed everything back exactly as she'd found it. Trevor couldn't know she'd been here. He couldn't suspect anything had changed. She was about to leave the office when she noticed a locked filing cabinet. The key wasn't in any of the obvious places. She searched for 20 minutes before finding it taped to the underside of Trevor's desk drawer. Inside the cabinet were more documents. Property deeds showing Trevor had already transferred their vacation home to his name only. Insurance policies where he'd made himself the sole beneficiary. Credit cards she didn't know existed, maxed out on purchases at expensive restaurants and jewelry stores. None of the jewelry had been for her. There were also printed photos. Candace wearing Simone's jewelry, the pieces her mother had left her. Candace in their vacation home, posing in Simone's designer clothes. Candace in what looked like a hotel room, wrapped in sheets, smiling at the camera. Simone had to sit down. The room spun, not from drugs this time but from pure shock and rage. This wasn't just betrayal. This was systematic destruction. Trevor hadn't just cheated on her. He'd orchestrated an elaborate plan to erase her from her own life. She photographed everything, including the photos of Candace. Evidence. She needed evidence of everything. By the time she finished, it was already noon. She'd been in the office for 4 hours. She carefully returned everything to its place, locked the filing cabinet, put the key back, and locked the office door behind her. In the kitchen, she made herself lunch but could barely eat. Her mind was racing, planning. She needed a lawyer. She needed to move money somewhere safe. She needed to protect the company. She needed to figure out which signatures were forged and how to undo the damage. But most immediately, she needed to decide what to do tonight when Trevor came home with those pills. The thought of taking them again, of voluntarily returning to that fog, made her feel sick. But if she refused, Trevor would know something had changed. He'd become suspicious. He might accelerate his plans or destroy evidence. She had to take the pills. She had to go back into the fog. But this time she'd do it knowing it was temporary. This time she'd leave herself messages. This time she had evidence and a plan. Simone spent the afternoon securing what she could. She transferred money from accounts Trevor didn't monitor regularly into her personal account. Not enough to raise alarms, but enough to survive on if she needed to leave suddenly. She made copies of important documents she'd found around the house. She changed her cloud account password to something Trevor would never guess. And she called her sister. "Denise," she said when her sister answered. "I need to see you. Today. It's urgent." "What's wrong?" Denise's voice immediately shifted to concern. "Are you okay? You sound different." "I'm clearer than I've been in months," Simone said. "I can't explain over the phone. Can you come over? Before Trevor gets home?" "I'm already on my way." Denise arrived within 30 minutes. She took one look at Simone's face and pulled her into a hug. "What happened? Talk to me." They sat at the kitchen table and Simone told her everything. The pills. The overheard conversation. The evidence she'd found in Trevor's office. The months of systematic abuse and theft. Denise's face went from concerned to horrified to furious. "That son of a..." Denise stopped herself, shaking her head. "We need to call the police. Right now." "Not yet," Simone said. "I need more evidence. I need to document everything, get copies of all the forged signatures, secure the company assets. If I go to the police now, Trevor will destroy evidence. He'll make it my word against his. And I've been the confused, forgetful wife for 8 months. Who will they believe?" Denise wanted to argue, but she saw the logic. "So what's the plan? Tonight I have to take those pills again. I have to keep pretending I don't know anything. But I need you to help me. I need you to document everything that happens while I'm in that fog. I need you to help me move assets, find a lawyer, build a case. Can you do that?" "Are you seriously asking?" Denise grabbed Simone's hands. "Of course I'll help you. We're going to destroy him. But Simone, are you sure about taking those pills again? What if they're dangerous? What if you forget everything you learned today?" Simone had thought about this. "I'll leave myself messages. Notes hidden where only I'll find them. And I'll see a doctor secretly, get the pills tested, make sure they're not causing permanent damage. But I need a few more days to gather evidence and secure everything. Then I'll stop taking them and execute the next phase." "What's the next phase?" Simone's smile was cold and determined. "Making sure Trevor loses everything he tried to steal from me. And making sure he pays for every single thing he's done." They spent the rest of the afternoon planning. Denise would help her open a new bank account at a different bank, one Trevor didn't know about. She'd help her find a lawyer who specialized in fraud and abuse cases. She'd hold copies of all the evidence Simone had gathered. When Trevor's car pulled into the driveway at 6:30, Denise left through the back door. Simone took a deep breath, settled herself on the couch and prepared to play her role again. "Hey baby," Trevor said, coming in with takeout. "I brought dinner. Your favorite." It wasn't her favorite. It was a dish she'd mentioned liking once, and Trevor had decided it was her favorite so he wouldn't have to remember what she actually preferred. But drugged Simone wouldn't notice the difference. "Thanks," she said, trying to sound drowsy and grateful. They ate dinner together, Trevor talking about his day, Simone responding with appropriate sounds and short sentences. She watched him, watching her, evaluating her, making sure she was still properly subdued. After dinner he brought out the pills. "Time for your vitamins," he said with that false smile. Simone looked at the white pills in his hand. She thought about everything she'd learned, everything he'd done, everything he planned to do. And she thought about the evidence she'd gathered, the plans she'd made, the revenge she would take. She opened her mouth and swallowed the pills. The fog came quickly, pulling her down, and her last clear thought before the darkness took her was, "This is the last time. I promised myself this is the last time." Tomorrow she'd wake up confused again. But somewhere in her mind, buried under the chemicals and fog, would be the memory of today. The memory of truth. The memory of the fight she was going to win. Trevor watched her drift off with satisfaction. He thought he'd won. He had no idea he'd already lost. The next morning, Simone woke with the familiar heavy feeling in her head. The fog had returned, thick and disorienting. For a moment, she felt despair wash over her. Had yesterday been real? Had she really discovered everything, or had it been some drugged dream? Then she saw the note on her nightstand, written in her own handwriting. "Check your phone. Password protected folder. You're not crazy. Trust Denise." Don't let Trevor know. Her heart began to pound. She grabbed her phone with shaking hands and opened the hidden folder. Photos. Hundreds of photos. Bank statements, emails, Trevor's journal, documents with forged signatures. Was all real. And attached to the folder was a message from Denise. I'm here. Call me when you can talk. We're going to win this. Simone deleted the note and went through her morning routine, moving slowly, pretending to be drowsy. But inside, her mind was racing. She had to maintain the act perfectly. Trevor couldn't suspect anything had changed. Over the next week, Simone played the role of her life. During the day when Trevor was at work, she met with Denise and the lawyer her sister had found. His name was Jerome Patterson, a skilled attorney who specialized in cases involving fraud and abuse. He looked at the evidence Simone had gathered and shook his head in disgust. This is one of the most calculated cases of abuse and financial fraud I've seen, Jerome said. The drugging alone is a serious crime. Add the forgery, the theft, the evidence of premeditation in his journal, and we have a strong case. But we need to be strategic about how we proceed. I want him to lose everything, Simone said, her voice steady despite the drugs still in her system from the night before. I want the company protected. I want every penny he stole returned. And I want him held accountable for what he did to me. We can do that, Jerome assured her. But you need to stop taking those pills as soon as possible. We should get you medical documentation of what they've done to you. And we need to secure your business assets before Trevor realizes what's happening. Simone nodded. I need 3 more days. There are documents I still need to photograph, accounts I need to secure. Then I'll stop taking the pills and we'll move forward. Those 3 days were the longest of her life. Each night, Trevor brought her the pills. Each night, she had to swallow them, feeling the fog descend, hating every second of it. But each day, she gathered more evidence. She found proof that Trevor had been embezzling from the company directly, setting up shell corporations to hide his theft. She discovered he'd been having Candace sign documents at work, claiming Simone had authorized her to do so. She also discovered Trevor had been spreading rumors about her mental health. He'd been telling people at the company that she was becoming unstable, unreliable, possibly developing early-onset dementia. He was building his narrative carefully, making sure everyone would believe she was incompetent when the time came to remove her from the company. The more Simone learned, the more horrified she became. This wasn't just a man who decided to cheat and steal. This was a predator who'd spent almost a year systematically destroying her life, her reputation, and her mental health. He'd made her doubt her own mind while stealing everything her father had built. But the rage she felt also gave her strength. She documented everything with cold precision. She made copies of copies. She secured accounts Trevor didn't know about. She prepared for war. On day 3, she made her decision. Tonight would be the last time she'd take those pills. Tomorrow she'd wake up clear-headed and begin the endgame. But first she had one more thing to do. That afternoon, while Trevor was at work, Simone went to the company. She'd been avoiding it for weeks, claiming she didn't feel well enough. But today she forced herself to go, moving slowly, playing the role of the confused, unwell wife everyone expected. Simone. Her assistant, Beverly, looked surprised and concerned. I didn't know you were coming in today. Are you feeling all right? I'm okay, Simone said softly, carefully. Just wanted to check on some things. She went to her office, which had once been her sanctuary. Now it felt foreign, like someone else's space. She saw how Trevor had slowly taken over, moving his things in, rearranging furniture, making it clear who really ran things. But more importantly, she saw the documents on her desk. Papers waiting for her signature. She picked them up and read them carefully. They were transfer agreements, exactly like the ones she'd seen in Trevor's office. They would sign over more of her father's company to Trevor's control. She photographed them instead of signing them. Then she put them back exactly as she'd found them. As she was leaving, she passed Candace's desk. The young woman looked up and smiled, a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Mrs. Sterling, how nice to see you. Are you feeling better? Sterling. That was Trevor's last name. She'd kept her own name, Simone Reeves, when they'd married. But Candace always called her Mrs. Sterling as if she'd already been erased. Getting there, Simone said quietly, playing her role. Then she paused. That's a lovely necklace, Candace. Candace touched the gold chain at her throat. Thank you. It was a gift. Simone recognized it. It had been her mother's. She'd wondered where it disappeared to. It's very pretty. You're lucky to have someone who gives you such nice gifts. The smile on Candace's face grew wider. Yes, I am very lucky. Simone left the office, her hands shaking. Seeing Candace wearing her mother's jewelry was almost worse than everything else. It made it personal in a way the financial theft hadn't. That night, Trevor came home with dinner and pills. Simone sat with him, ate the food she couldn't taste, listened to him talk about his day. He seemed excited, energized. He was probably close to completing his plan. Just a few more signatures, a few more transfers, and he'd have everything. "You seem happier," Simone observed, keeping her voice soft and confused. "Things are going well at work," Trevor said. "The company's doing great. Your father would be proud." The casual cruelty of that statement, invoking her dead father while actively destroying his legacy, made Simone want to throw her plate at his head. But she smiled instead. "That's good." Trevor brought out the pills. "Time for your vitamins, baby." Simone looked at the white tablets in his palm. Tomorrow, she told herself. Tomorrow she'd stop. Tomorrow the fog would lift for good and she'd begin taking back her life. But something in Trevor's expression gave her pause. He was watching her too carefully, evaluating her too closely. Had she made a mistake somewhere? Had she revealed something in her drugged state that made him suspicious? "You know," Trevor said slowly, "I've been thinking. Maybe we should increase your dosage. You still seem so tired all the time. Maybe stronger vitamins would help." Simone's blood ran cold. More drugs. He wanted to make the fog even worse. How much worse could it get? What would happen to her if he increased the dosage? She thought about refusing. Thought about confronting him right there. But she'd come this far. One more night. She just needed to get through one more night, and tomorrow she'd put her plan into action. "If you think it'll help," she said softly. Trevor smiled. "I do. I'll talk to the doctor tomorrow about getting you something stronger." He gave her the pills and she swallowed them. But later, when Trevor thought she was asleep, she heard him on the phone again with Candace. "She's almost completely compliant now," he said. "A few more days and I'll have the final signatures. Then we can move forward with everything else. The house, the accounts, all of it. She won't even know what happened until it's too late to fight it." "What about her sister?" Candace asked, her voice audible through the phone. "Denise has been coming around more." "Doesn't matter. By the time Denise realizes something's wrong, the legal documents will be filed. Simone will be declared incompetent to make business decisions. I'll have medical records backing it up. It's airtight. And then?" Candace's voice was eager. "And then we'll be free. You'll have the life you deserve, baby. Everything you've been patient for." They talked for a few more minutes before Trevor ended the call. Simone lay in the dark, listening to him move around the house, and she felt something shift inside her. She'd been planning to wait until morning. She'd been planning to be strategic, careful, patient. But hearing Trevor talk about having her declared incompetent changed everything. That wasn't just theft. That was attempting to have her erased as a person, her choices, her voice, her very identity taken away. And suddenly, Simone decided she was done waiting. She was done playing the victim. Done pretending to be confused. Done letting Trevor think he'd won. It was time for him to understand exactly who he tried to destroy. Tomorrow morning, Trevor's perfect plan was going to explode in his face. And Simone was going to make sure everyone saw it happen. Simone waited until she heard Trevor's breathing even out in his bedroom, the deep, steady rhythm of sleep. The drugs were still in her system, making her limbs heavy and her thoughts syrupy, but determination cut through the fog like a blade. She grabbed her phone and texted Denise, "Tonight. Come now. Back door." Then she forced herself out of bed. Every movement felt like wading through deep water. She collected all the evidence she'd hidden around the house. Photos stashed in book spines, printed documents tucked into winter coat pockets, USB drives taped under drawer bottoms. Everything Trevor didn't know she'd gathered. Denise arrived within 20 minutes, letting herself in through the back door with the key Simone had given her years ago. She found Simone in the kitchen, surrounded by folders and papers, trying to organize everything with shaking hands. "What happened?" Denise whispered urgently. "I thought we were waiting until—" "He wants to increase the dosage," Simone said, her words slightly slurred from the drugs but her eyes sharp and focused. "He's planning to have me declared incompetent. He's going to take everything, not just the money in the company but my right to make decisions, my identity. I can't wait anymore, Denise. I can't take those pills again." Denise looked at her sister, seeing past the drug-induced drowsiness to the steel underneath. "Okay, tell me what you need." They worked through the night. Denise drove to an all-night print shop and made multiple copies of everything. She secured the evidence in a safety deposit box at a bank across town. She contacted Jerome Patterson, the lawyer, who agreed to meet them first thing in the morning despite the late hour. Meanwhile, Simone went through every document in the house, photographing anything she hadn't already documented. She found more evidence. Letters Trevor had written to banks claiming Simone was unwell and couldn't manage her own affairs, emails to doctors asking about her getting a medical evaluation for competency, drafts of legal documents that would give Trevor power of attorney. The full scope of his plan became horrifyingly clear. Trevor hadn't just been stealing from her. He'd been building a legal framework to have her removed from her own life. Once he had her declared incompetent, he'd control everything, her money, her property, her medical decisions, even where she could live. She'd become a prisoner in her own existence. "This is evil," Denise said when Simone showed her the evidence. "This isn't just fraud, Simone. This is a man trying to erase you completely." "I know," Simone said quietly. "That's why I can't wait anymore. That's why we have to move now." By dawn they had a plan. Jerome arrived at 6 in the morning, looking at the evidence Simone and Denise had compiled. His face grew darker with each document he reviewed. "This is enough," he said finally. "More than enough. We can file for divorce today, along with restraining orders and criminal complaints. But Simone, you need to see a doctor immediately. We need medical documentation of what these drugs have done to you." "Already arranged," Denise said. "I called Dr. Morrison. She's a friend from college, completely separate from anyone Trevor knows. She's meeting us at her office in an hour." "And the company?" Simone asked. "How do we protect it?" Jerome pulled out a folder. "I've already drafted emergency injunctions. Based on the evidence of forgery and fraud, we can freeze all business accounts and transactions until this is resolved. We'll file them simultaneously with the divorce papers. Trevor won't be able to access anything." "What about the documents I already signed?" Simone's voice was tight with worry. "The ones he forged my signature on? Those can be challenged and reversed once we prove they were signed under duress and while you were being drugged. It'll take time, but we can undo most of the damage. The key is moving quickly before Trevor realizes what's happening." "He's going to be furious," Denise said. "Good," Simone replied, her voice cold. "Let him be furious. Let him feel 1/10 of what he made me feel." They left the house before Trevor woke up. Simone took only what was important. Photos of her parents, her mother's remaining jewelry that Trevor hadn't given to Candace, important documents. Everything else could be dealt with later. Dr. Morrison met them at her private office. She was a kind woman in her 50s who listened to Simone's story with growing horror. She drew blood, took hair samples, ran tests that would determine exactly what drugs had been in Simone's system. "The blood test will show what's currently in your system," Dr. Morrison explained. "The hair samples can show drug use over the past several months. Whatever he was giving you, we'll be able to identify it and document the levels. This will be crucial evidence." While they waited for preliminary results, Jerome began filing papers. Divorce petition. Restraining order. Criminal complaint for assault, fraud, forgery, and theft. Emergency business injunctions. The paperwork was extensive, but every document was backed by the evidence Simone had gathered. By noon the results came back. Dr. Morrison's face was grave as she delivered the news. "Simone, the drugs in your system are benzodiazepines at extremely high levels, combined with what appears to be an anticholinergic medication. The combination would cause severe confusion, memory loss, and cognitive impairment. Long-term use at these levels could have caused permanent brain damage." The room went silent. Permanent brain damage. Trevor had been willing to risk destroying her mind permanently just to steal from her. "But," Dr. Morrison continued, "the good news is that you stopped in time. There's no evidence of permanent damage. Your cognitive function should return completely once the drugs are fully out of your system. But Simone, you could have died. These dosages, especially if he'd increased them like you said he planned to, you were in serious danger." Simone felt Denise grip her hand. She'd known Trevor was cruel but attempted murder? Had he really been willing to go that far? "We need to document all of this," Jerome said grimly. "Dr. Morrison, can you provide a detailed medical report?" "Already writing it," the doctor replied. By 3 in the afternoon, everything was ready. The divorce papers were filed. The restraining order was issued. The criminal complaints were lodged with the police. And the business injunctions were in place, freezing all company accounts and preventing Trevor from making any transactions. "Now what?" Simone asked. "Now Trevor gets served," Jerome said. "I've arranged for him to receive the papers at work. In front of everyone. I thought you might appreciate that." Simone smiled for the first time that day. Very much. She didn't watch Trevor get served. She wasn't allowed to be near him due to the restraining order. But Denise's friend who worked in the building sent updates. "He's been served," the first text read. He looked shocked. He's reading the papers. His face is bright red. Security just escorted him out. He was yelling. "Everyone's watching." The next message included a photo. Trevor being walked out of the building by security, his face twisted in rage, the divorce papers clutched in his hand. Simone looked at the image and felt nothing but cold satisfaction. Within an hour, Trevor was calling and texting. The messages started out angry, then became pleading, then angry again. Simone blocked his number. Then he started calling Denise, calling Simone's friends, even trying to reach her through social media. He was desperate, his perfect plan crumbling around him. Candace tried to call too. Simone blocked her as well. She wanted nothing to do with either of them ever again. That night, Simone stayed at Denise's house. She lay in the guest bedroom, feeling the drugs slowly leaving her system, her mind growing clearer by the hour. She couldn't sleep, but not because of the pills this time. Because she was planning. Trevor thought the divorce papers were the end. He had no idea they were just the beginning. Simone had spent months as his victim, confused and controlled, her life slipping away. Now it was his turn to lose everything. The business injunctions meant Trevor couldn't access any company funds. The restraining order meant he couldn't come near her or contact her. The criminal complaints meant he'd be investigated by police. And the evidence she'd gathered meant he'd have no defense. But more than that, Simone was going to take back her father's company. She was going to expose every fraudulent transaction, every forged document, every theft. She was going to make sure everyone knew exactly what Trevor had done. Around midnight, Jerome called. "The police want to interview you tomorrow. They're taking the criminal complaint seriously, especially given the medical evidence. And Simone, there's something else you should know." "What?" "Trevor's lawyer called me. He wants to negotiate a settlement. He's offering to return some of the money if you'll drop the criminal charges." Simone laughed, a sound without humor. "Absolutely not. He doesn't get to buy his way out of this. He drugged me for months, tried to steal everything I had, and was planning to have me declared incompetent. He faces full consequences or nothing." "That's what I told his lawyer," Jerome said with satisfaction. "I'll see you tomorrow for the police interview." After the call ended, Simone lay in the dark, thinking about everything that had happened. A week ago, she'd been living in a fog, losing pieces of herself every day. Now she was clear-minded and fighting back. Trevor had made a crucial mistake. He'd underestimated her. He'd thought drugging her would make her weak, confused, easy to control. Instead, it had revealed his true nature and given her the evidence she needed to destroy him. The next morning, Simone woke feeling more clear-headed than she had in months. The fog was lifting, her memory sharpening, her thoughts quickening. She looked in the mirror and barely recognized herself. She'd lost weight, her eyes had dark circles, her skin looked sallow. The drugs had taken a visible toll. But underneath the physical damage, she saw something new. Strength. Determination. A woman who'd been pushed to the edge and decided to fight back instead of fall. The police interview was thorough. 2 detectives listened to her story, reviewed the evidence, examined the medical reports. They were professional but clearly disturbed by what they learned. "Mrs. Reeves," one of the detectives said, "what your husband did to you? This is one of the most serious cases of domestic abuse I've encountered. The systematic nature of it, the drugging, the financial fraud. We're going to investigate this thoroughly." "What happens next?" Simone asked. "We'll need to get warrants for his medical records, pharmacy records, bank accounts. We'll interview him, interview witnesses. This will take time, but based on what you've shown us, I believe we'll have enough for multiple charges." "How long until he's arrested?" "Could be days, could be weeks. We need to build an airtight case. But Ms. Reeves, I promise you we take this seriously. What he did to you was a crime and he'll be held accountable." Simone left the police station feeling lighter. Justice was coming. Slowly, perhaps, but it was coming. That afternoon, she went back to the company for the first time since her escape. The employees seemed shocked to see her looking alert and present. Some looked guilty, as if they'd believed Trevor's lies about her being mentally unwell. Others looked relieved, like they'd suspected something was wrong but hadn't known what. Simone called an emergency board meeting. The board members were her father's old friends and business partners, people who'd known her since she was a child. They listened as she explained everything: the drugging, the forgery, the fraud, Trevor's systematic attempt to steal the company. She showed them the evidence. Trevor's journal detailing his plan. The forged signatures on transfer documents. The bank records showing embezzlement. The emails with Candace discussing their scheme. The board members were horrified. These were men and women who trusted Trevor, who'd let him take on more responsibility at the company because they thought he was helping Simone. Now they realized he'd betrayed them all. "What do you need from us?" asked Thomas, the board chairman and her father's closest friend. "I need you to help me undo the damage," Simone said. "Every fraudulent transaction needs to be reversed. Every forged document needs to be voided. And I need Trevor removed from every position of authority immediately." "Consider it done," Thomas said firmly. "Simone, I'm so sorry. We should have seen what was happening. We should have protected you better." "You couldn't have known," Simone said. "He fooled everyone. But now everyone knows the truth, and that's what matters." Over the next few days, Simone worked 18-hour days cleaning up Trevor's mess. Every fraudulent transaction had to be documented and reversed. Every supplier contact had to be reviewed. Every contract had to be examined for hidden clauses Trevor had inserted. It was exhausting work, but Simone felt energized by it. This was her father's legacy, and she was saving it. She was stronger than Trevor had believed. She'd been bent but not broken, and now she was coming back stronger than ever. But Trevor wasn't done fighting. Even with the restraining order, he found ways to harass her. He had friends call with threats. He tried to access company systems, blocked only by the IT team Simone had warning to watch for him. He spread rumors, trying to salvage his reputation by claiming Simone was lying, that she was unstable, that this was all a misunderstanding. But nobody believed him anymore. Too many people had seen the evidence. Too many people knew the truth. And Simone? She just kept working, kept building, kept fighting. Because she'd learned something important in the past few weeks. The best revenge wasn't anger or hatred. It was success. It was taking back everything that was stolen and making it better than before. It was showing the person who tried to destroy you that they failed completely. Trevor had tried to erase her. Instead, he'd awakened something stronger than he could imagine. And now, that strength was going to be his downfall. 2 weeks after filing for divorce, Simone stood in the apartment Denise had helped her rent. It was small compared to the house she'd shared with Trevor, but it was hers. Every piece of furniture, every dish in the kitchen, every towel in the bathroom, she'd chosen it all herself without Trevor's input or approval. The fog in her mind had completely lifted. Dr. Morrison had been monitoring her recovery, and the blood tests showed the drugs were finally out of her system. Simone's memory had returned, sharp and clear, and with it came the full weight of everything Trevor had done. But she also felt stronger than she'd ever been. The woman who'd taken those pills each night felt like a different person now. That woman had been confused, docile, controlled. The woman standing in this apartment was none of those things. Jerome Patterson called that morning with news. "Trevor's legal team is still trying to negotiate. They're getting desperate, Simone. They've offered to return 70% of the stolen money if you'll consider dropping the criminal charges and agreeing to a quiet divorce settlement." 70%? Simone's voice was ice cold. "He stole from me, drugged me, tried to have me declared incompetent, and he thinks he can buy his way out by returning some of what he stole? Tell his lawyers no. Tell them if they contact us again with settlement offers, we'll add harassment to the list of complaints." "I was hoping you'd say that," Jerome replied. "Because I have better news. The district attorney's office has reviewed the evidence. They're moving forward with criminal charges. Trevor will be formally arrested within the week." Simone closed her eyes, feeling satisfaction wash over her. "What are the charges?" "Assault through drugging, forgery, fraud, embezzlement, and identity theft. If convicted on all counts, he's looking at 5 to 10 years minimum." "And the business fraud?" "That's moving through civil courts separately. We're working on recovering all the stolen funds and reversing all fraudulent transactions. It's going to take time, but we'll get everything back. The evidence you gathered makes our case ironclad." After the call ended, Simone sat by her new apartment window, looking out at the city. In 2 weeks, her entire life had transformed. She'd gone from drugged and controlled to free and fighting. And now Trevor was about to face real consequences. But there was still work to do. That afternoon, Simone returned to the company. She'd been there every day since the truth came out, and each day felt like reclaiming a piece of herself. The employees who'd believed Trevor's lies now looked at her with respect and guilt. The ones who'd been loyal to her father's memory rallied around her. Beverly, her assistant, had been especially supportive. "I knew something was wrong," she told Simone. "You were different, not yourself. But Trevor kept saying you were just stressed, that you needed rest. I feel terrible that I believed him." "You had no reason not to," Simone said. He was convincing. That's what made him dangerous. They were in the middle of reviewing supplier contracts when security called up. "Ms. Reeves, there's a woman here demanding to see you. Says her name is Candace Miller. Should I send her up?" Simone's hand tightened on her pen. She hadn't spoken to Candace since discovering the affair. Part of her wanted to refuse, to have security escort the woman out. But another part wanted to look Candace in the eye and make her understand exactly what she'd participated in. "Send her up," Simone said. "But have security stay close." 5 minutes later, Candace walked into Simone's office. She looked different than she had 2 weeks ago. The confident smile was gone, replaced by an expression that might have been guilt or might have been calculation. Simone couldn't tell which. "Simone," Candace started, her voice uncertain. "I need to talk to you." "You have 5 minutes," Simone said coldly, not inviting her to sit down. "Then security will escort you out." Candace glanced around the office at the photos of Simone's father, at the awards the company had won under his leadership. I wanted to apologize. I didn't know Trevor was drugging you. I swear I didn't know that part." "But you knew about everything else," Simone said. "You knew he was stealing from the company. You knew about the forged signatures. You knew he was planning to leave me with nothing. You participated in all of that willingly." "I was in love with him," Candace said, and she actually sounded like she believed it. "He told me your marriage was already over, that you'd agreed to separate but were just working out details. He said whatever he needed to say to get what he wanted," Simone interrupted. "Just like he did with me. Just like he probably does with everyone. And you believed him because it was convenient. Because you wanted the jewelry and the vacation house and the lifestyle he promised you." Candace flinched. "I'm wearing your mother's necklace," she whispered, touching the gold chain. "I didn't know that's what it was. He gave it to me and said it was new." "I know. I saw it on you 2 weeks ago." Simone's voice remained steady. "You were so proud of it. So happy with your gift. Did you ever wonder where Trevor got the money for all those gifts? Did it occur to you that he was stealing from his wife to pay for his mistress?" "I'm sorry," Candace said, and tears were running down her face now. "I'm so sorry. I lost my job because of this. My own husband left me when he found out about the affair. I have nothing now. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry." Simone looked at this woman who'd helped destroy her life and she felt nothing. Not sympathy, not satisfaction, not even anger anymore. Just emptiness. "I'm not interested in your apology," Simone said quietly. "I'm not interested in your problems or your consequences. You participated in a plan to destroy me, to steal my father's legacy, to erase me from my own life. The fact that you didn't know every detail doesn't make you innocent. It makes you willfully blind." "Please," Candace said. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but—" "You're right. You don't. And you won't get it. Not from me. Not ever." Simone pressed the button for security. "We're done here. Please remove Ms. Miller from the building and add her to the list of people who aren't allowed on company property." As security led a crying Candace away, Beverly appeared in the doorway. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," Simone said, and she meant it. Confronting Candace had given her closure she didn't know she needed. "Actually, I'm better than fine. I'm done letting people who hurt me take up space in my mind." That evening, Denise came over to help Simone set up her new apartment. They assembled furniture, hung pictures, arranged kitchen supplies. It was normal, mundane work, and Simone found it healing. "I'm proud of you," Denise said as they stood back to admire the living room they'd arranged. 2 weeks ago, you were still recovering from months of being drugged. Now look at you. You're running the company, you've got your own place, and you just faced down the woman who helped Trevor destroy your life." "I feel like I'm becoming myself again," Simone admitted. "Or maybe becoming someone new. Someone stronger." "You were always strong," Denise said. "Trevor just made you forget it for a while. But you remembered. And now you're unstoppable." The next morning brought the news Simone had been waiting for. Jerome called early, his voice excited. "Trevor was arrested an hour ago. They picked him up at his apartment. He's being charged with everything we discussed: assault, fraud, forgery, embezzlement, identity theft. They denied bail because he's considered a flight risk given the offshore accounts he set up." "So he's in jail," Simone said, testing the words. "He's in jail," Jerome confirmed. "And he'll stay there until trial, which could be 6 months to a year away. In the meantime, we continue with the civil cases to recover all the assets he stole." Simone hung up and sat in her quiet apartment, processing the news. Trevor was in jail. The man who'd drugged her, controlled her, tried to erase her, was facing real consequences. It should have felt triumphant. It should have felt like victory. Instead, it just felt like the end of something horrible and the beginning of something uncertain. She went to the company that day and worked with renewed focus. Every hour, more evidence of Trevor's fraud came to light. He'd been stealing for longer than even Simone had realized, embezzling funds for almost 2 years. But he'd only started drugging her 8 months ago, when she'd started asking questions about some financial discrepancies. The drugging had been his way of keeping her quiet long enough to complete his plan. Without those pills, Simone would have discovered his theft months earlier. She would have stopped him before he could do so much damage. But she'd stopped him anyway, just in a different timeline than she'd planned. Over the next month, Simone's life settled into a new rhythm. She went to the company every day, slowly rebuilding what Trevor had damaged. She met with lawyers and accountants, untangling the mess of fraudulent transactions. She attended therapy sessions to process the trauma of what had happened to her. And slowly she began to heal. The physical effects of the drugs faded. Her memory became sharp again. Her energy returned. The dark circles under her eyes disappeared. She gained back the weight she'd lost. Looked in the mirror and saw herself again, not the ghostly, confused woman Trevor had tried to create. Friends who'd drifted away during her foggy months returned, apologizing for not recognizing something was wrong. Simone forgave them, understanding how well Trevor had manipulated everyone. He'd been careful, calculated, believable. But not careful enough. Not calculated enough. Because he'd underestimated the one person who mattered most, Simone herself. She'd been bent by his abuse, confused by his drugs, wounded by his betrayal. But she hadn't broken. And now she was building something better than what he tried to destroy. 2 months after Trevor's arrest, Simone stood in the company's main conference room, presenting the quarterly results to the board. The numbers were strong, stronger than they'd been in years. Without Trevor's embezzlement draining resources, the company was thriving. "Your father would be proud," Thomas told her after the meeting. "You've done more than save his legacy, Simone. You've strengthened it." That night, Simone sat in her apartment with a glass of wine, looking through old photos. Pictures of her parents, of her father teaching her about the business, of her mother showing her how to be strong and independent. They were both gone now, but their lessons remained. Her phone buzzed with a text from Jerome. "Trevor's lawyers are trying one more settlement offer. They're offering everything back, all the money, all the property, if you'll agree to reduce charges. What do you want me to tell them?" Simone looked at the message for a long moment. Then she typed her response. "Tell them Trevor faces full consequences for what he did. Every charge, every count, every year of the sentence he deserves. No deals. No negotiations. Justice, not settlement." She sent the message and finished her wine, feeling at peace. The old Simone might have been tempted to take the easy way, to accept the money and move on. But she wasn't the old Simone anymore. She was the woman who'd survived Trevor's attempt to destroy her. The woman who'd gathered evidence while drugged. The woman who'd built a case that would put him in prison. The woman who'd taken back her life and made it better than before. And that woman didn't settle for anything less than complete justice. The news broke on a Tuesday morning. Simone was reviewing contracts at the company when Beverly rushed in with her phone. "You need to see this. It's everywhere." Someone had leaked the story to the press. Maybe a police officer, maybe someone from the courthouse, maybe Trevor's own lawyer trying to get ahead of the narrative. But however it happened, the story of Trevor's crimes was now front-page news. "Businessman arrested for drugging wife, embezzling millions," the headline read. The article detailed everything: the 8 months of systematic drugging, the forged documents, the planned declaration of incompetence, the affair with Candace, the embezzlement scheme. Everything. Simone's phone started ringing immediately. Friends, business associates, reporters all wanting to know if it was true, wanting to hear her side of the story, wanting to offer support or get details. She ignored most of them, but she did read through the news coverage. The public reaction was swift and fierce. People were outraged by what Trevor had done. The systematic nature of his abuse, the calculated cruelty of drugging someone for months, the attempt to steal a dead man's legacy from his daughter, it all struck a nerve with people. Social media exploded with opinions. "He should spend life in prison," one post read. "This is one of the most evil things I've ever heard of," said another. "That poor woman. I hope she takes him for everything." But there were also the doubters, the ones who questioned whether Simone was telling the truth. "Maybe she's making it up for the divorce settlement," some said. "It sounds too calculated to be real," others claimed. "I'm sure there are two sides to this story. Those comments stung, but Simone ignored them. She'd expected skepticism. Women who accused powerful men of abuse always faced skepticism. But she had evidence, mountains of evidence, and that's what mattered. The media coverage also brought attention to Candace. Reporters found out about her role in Trevor's scheme, about the affair, about her wearing Simone's jewelry and living in their vacation home. Candace tried to do damage control, giving an interview where she claimed she'd been manipulated by Trevor just like Simone had been. "I had no idea about the drugging," Candace said in the interview, tears streaming down her face. "I thought his marriage was already over. I thought I was starting a real relationship with him. Now I realize he was using me too." Simone watched the interview with cold detachment. Candace was trying to rewrite history, trying to paint herself as another victim instead of an active participant. But the evidence told a different story. The emails Simone had found showed Candace laughing about Simone's confusion, eagerly planning a future with Trevor, knowing exactly what he was doing. The court of public opinion wasn't buying Candace's victim act either. "She knew what she was doing," people commented. "Stop trying to excuse your behavior. You helped destroy a woman's life and now you want sympathy?" Within days, Candace deleted her social media accounts and disappeared from public view. Simone felt no satisfaction from it. She just felt tired of everyone involved in her nightmare. But the publicity did have one positive effect. Other women started coming forward with similar stories. Not about Trevor specifically, but about other men who'd used similar tactics. Drugging, gaslighting, financial abuse, attempts to have their partners declared incompetent. Simone's story had opened a door, showing other victims they weren't alone. One woman reached out to Simone directly. Her name was Rachel, and her ex-husband had done almost exactly what Trevor had done, drugging her to keep her compliant while he stole from their business. "I thought I was going crazy," Rachel wrote in her email. "Seeing your story helped me realize I wasn't. Thank you for being brave enough to speak up." Reading Rachel's email, Simone realized her nightmare had a purpose. By exposing Trevor, by refusing to settle quietly, she was helping other women recognize abuse they might have otherwise accepted or blamed themselves for. The publicity she'd initially dreaded was actually doing good. The district attorney's office called that afternoon. "Ms. Reeves, the media attention is actually helping our case. We've had several people come forward with information about Trevor's activities. Former business associates, a pharmacist who remembers him requesting unusual medications, even a doctor who was suspicious when Trevor asked about having someone declared incompetent. Would you be willing to speak to these witnesses?" "Of course," Simone said. "Whatever helps the case." Over the next week, Simone met with various witnesses. Each had a piece of the puzzle. The pharmacist remembered Trevor claiming the medications were for his mother, who supposedly had severe dementia. The doctor remembered being uncomfortable with Trevor's questions about the legal process for declaring someone incompetent. The business associates remembered Trevor asking hypothetical questions about transferring assets without a partner's knowledge. Everyone had noticed something odd but hadn't connected the pieces. Together, their testimonies painted a picture of a man who'd been planning this for a long time, researching, preparing, perfecting his approach. "He was so careful," one witness told the prosecutor. "He never asked anything directly incriminating. Always hypothetical questions, always framed as concern for someone else. But looking back, it's obvious what he was really doing." The evidence kept mounting. Trevor's lawyer tried to suppress some of it, arguing it was prejudicial or hearsay, but the judge denied most of their motions. The case against Trevor was becoming overwhelming. Meanwhile, the civil cases were also progressing. The company was successfully recovering the embezzled funds from Trevor's offshore accounts. The forged documents were being systematically voided. The property Trevor had transferred to his name was being returned to Simone. Piece by piece, she was getting back everything he'd stolen. But the emotional toll was significant. Reliving the trauma in court documents and legal proceedings, having her private nightmare become public knowledge, seeing Trevor's face in every news article, it was exhausting. Simone increased her therapy sessions and leaned heavily on Denise for support. "Some days I wish I'd never discovered what he was doing," Simone admitted to her sister one evening. "I wish I could have stayed in the fog, oblivious to everything." "No, you don't," Denise said firmly. "If you'd stayed in the fog, he would have destroyed you completely. You'd have lost the company, your independence, possibly your life if he'd increased that dosage like he planned. You fought back and you won. Don't forget that." Denise was right. The alternative to this public nightmare was private destruction. At least this way, Simone had control. She had agency. She had a voice. The trial date was set for 4 months away. Jerome explained that the prosecution was taking time to build an absolutely solid case, one Trevor couldn't possibly defend against. "They want a conviction on all counts," Jerome said. "And with the evidence we have, they'll get it." In the meantime, Trevor remained in jail. His family tried to raise bail money, but the judge had already denied bail twice, citing Trevor as a flight risk and a danger to Simone. Without bail, Trevor sat in a cell, waiting for trial, watching his perfect plan crumble from behind bars. Simone didn't visit him. She had no interest in seeing him or hearing whatever excuses he'd concocted. The restraining order was still in effect anyway, preventing any contact between them. But sometimes she wondered what he was thinking, what excuses he told himself to justify what he'd done. Did he understand the magnitude of his crime? Did he grasp that he'd tried to erase a person, to chemically lobotomize someone he'd claimed to love? Or did he still see himself as the victim, wrongfully accused, misunderstood? She'd never know, and she decided she didn't care. Trevor's internal justifications were irrelevant. What mattered was that he faced consequences, that other women saw those consequences and felt empowered to report their own abusers, that the legal system actually worked for once. 3 months before the trial, Simone did a single media interview. A journalist from a respected magazine wanted to write an in-depth piece about her experience. Simone agreed, but only on her terms. She'd tell her story once, completely, and then she'd be done with media attention. The interview took 3 hours. Simone talked about the fog, about the lost months, about discovering Trevor's plan. She talked about gathering evidence while drugged, about the terror of taking those pills knowing what they were doing to her. She talked about her escape, her recovery, the process of rebuilding her life. "What do you want people to understand about what happened to you?" the journalist asked. Simone thought for a moment. "I want people to understand that abuse isn't always obvious. Trevor never hit me. He never yelled at me. To everyone else we looked like a happy couple. But he was destroying me anyway, slowly and systematically. And I want people to know that recovery is possible. I survived, and I'm stronger now than I was before." The article came out the following week. It was powerful, detailed, and sympathetic. The journalist had captured Simone's strength without diminishing her trauma. Readers responded overwhelmingly positively, sharing the article widely, using it to start conversations about invisible abuse. More women reached out to Simone. Some had similar stories. Others just wanted to thank her for speaking up. Simone responded when she could, offering support and resources, but she also had to protect her own healing. She couldn't carry everyone's pain along with her own. The company continued to thrive. The board voted to remove Trevor's name from all company documents and strip him of any honorary titles. They established a scholarship in Simone's father's name for women studying business. They made Simone the permanent CEO, formalizing what had been temporary during the investigation. "You've earned this 100 times over," Thomas told her during the board meeting. "Not just because of what happened with Trevor, but because of how you've led this company. You're a better CEO than your father was, and he'd be proud to say it." 4 months after Trevor's arrest, 1 week before the trial was scheduled to begin, his lawyer called Jerome with a final offer. Trevor wanted to plead guilty to reduced charges in exchange for a lighter sentence. He'd admit to fraud and forgery, but claimed the drugging was accidental, a mistake with medication doses, nothing malicious. "Absolutely not," Simone said when Jerome presented the offer. "He drugged me for 8 months. He documented it in his journal. He increased the dosages deliberately. There was nothing accidental about any of it. He admits to everything or we go to trial." "That's what I thought you'd say," Jerome replied. "I'll tell them no deal." The trial would proceed as planned. Trevor would face a jury. The truth would come out in open court. And Simone would finally get to look him in the eye and watch him face consequences. She wasn't scared anymore. She wasn't uncertain. She was ready for this final confrontation, ready to close this chapter of her life and move forward. Trevor had tried to destroy her. Instead, he'd made her unbreakable. And now, everyone would see exactly what that looked like. While waiting for Trevor's trial, Simone threw herself into rebuilding the company her father had created. With Trevor's theft exposed and the embezzled funds recovered, the business had liquid capital for the first time in years. Simone used it strategically, expanding into new markets and modernizing operations Trevor had deliberately kept outdated. The transformation was remarkable. Employee morale skyrocketed once Trevor was gone. People who'd been quietly miserable under his management suddenly became engaged and productive. Several employees privately told Simone they'd been looking for new jobs, unable to tolerate Trevor's controlling management style anymore. He created an atmosphere of fear, one longtime employee explained. Everyone was afraid to make decisions without his approval. He'd criticize people in front of others, take credit for their ideas and blame them for his mistakes. We stayed because we loved your father and believed in the company, but Trevor was destroying that culture. Simone listened to these stories and felt anger mixed with sadness. Trevor hadn't just hurt her personally. He damaged an entire organization, affecting dozens of employees and their families. The ripple effects of his abuse extended far beyond what she'd initially realized. But now she had the chance to repair that damage. She instituted new policies: transparent decision-making, collaborative project management, regular employee feedback sessions. She promoted people who'd been overlooked under Trevor's leadership. She created mentorship programs and invested in professional development. The company responded beautifully. Productivity increased. Innovation flourished. New contracts came in as word spread about the company's revitalization. Within 3 months, revenue had increased by 40%. Thomas pulled Simone aside after a particularly successful board meeting. You know what you've done here? You've taken your father's dream and made it better. You built a good company. You're building a great one. The success felt healing in ways Simone hadn't expected. Every achievement, every new contract, every positive employee review felt like proof that Trevor hadn't broken her. She'd survived his worst and come back stronger. The best revenge wasn't just justice in court. It was thriving in every aspect of life he'd tried to destroy. But success at work couldn't fill all the voids Trevor had created. Simone found herself lonely in the evenings, rattling around in her apartment, wondering what genuine companionship felt like. She'd been with Trevor for 6 years, married for 4. She couldn't remember the last time she'd felt truly known by another person, truly connected. Her therapy sessions helped. Dr. Laurentian was a trauma specialist who helped Simone process not just what Trevor had done, but the deeper patterns that had made her vulnerable to his manipulation. Abuse doesn't happen in a vacuum, Dr. Chin explained. There are usually patterns in how we relate to others that predators identify and exploit. Understanding those patterns helps ensure you don't repeat them. Simone learned about her tendency to minimize red flags, to give people excessive benefit of the doubt, to prioritize being accommodating over being authentic. These weren't bad traits necessarily, but Trevor had exploited every one of them. He'd used her kindness as a weapon against her. Moving forward, Dr. Chin said, you don't need to become hard or suspicious. You just need to trust your instincts more. When something feels wrong, believe that feeling. Don't talk yourself out of it. Simone was practicing this in all her relationships now. She'd had to set boundaries with friends who wanted all the details of her trauma, people who treated her like entertainment rather than a person healing from abuse. She'd had to distance herself from business associates who'd been loyal to Trevor and were now trying to curry favor with her. She was learning to say no without guilt, to protect her peace without apology. One evening, about 4 months after Trevor's arrest, Simone attended a charity gala for a children's education fund. She hadn't wanted to go, public events still felt overwhelming, but the organization had been important to her father, and she felt obligated to represent the company. She was standing by the bar, nursing a glass of wine and trying to look engaged, when a man approached her. He was tall, had kind eyes and an easy smile. You look like you'd rather be anywhere else, he said, his tone sympathetic rather than judgmental. Simone laughed despite herself. That obvious? Only to someone else who'd rather be anywhere else. He extended his hand. Julian West. I'm an architect. Here because my firm donated the building design for the organization's new learning center. Simone Reeves. She shook his hand, waiting for the inevitable recognition. Her face had been all over the news for months. Everyone knew who she was and what had happened to her. But Julian's expression remained friendly, no pity or morbid curiosity. Reeves Construction Supply? My firm uses your materials. Great quality, fair prices. I've been impressed with how the company's evolved over the past few months. They talked about the industry, about architecture and construction, about design principles and material innovations. Julian was knowledgeable and passionate about his work. He asked Simone intelligent questions about the construction supply business and actually listened to her answers. It was the first real conversation she'd had with someone outside her immediate circle in months. No one asking about Trevor, no one treating her like a fragile victim, no one expecting her to be anything other than a competent professional talking about her field. I should let you mingle, Julian said eventually, though he seemed reluctant. But I'd like to continue this conversation sometime. Would you have coffee with me? Purely professional, he added quickly. I'm working on a project that might benefit from your expertise on sustainable materials. Simone hesitated. She wasn't ready for dating. She wasn't sure she'd ever be ready for dating again. But Julian was talking about work, about a professional consultation. That felt safe. Coffee sounds fine, she said. Professional coffee. They exchanged business cards. Julian smiled, and it was warm and genuine, and Simone felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Safe around a man who wasn't her father or her lawyer. The trial was scheduled to begin in 2 weeks. Simone met with Jerome to prepare for her testimony. They reviewed the evidence, practiced questions and answers, discussed strategies Trevor's defense might use. They're going to try to discredit you, Jerome warned. They'll claim you're exaggerating, that the drugs weren't that serious, that you had motives to lie about Trevor. They might bring up arguments you had during the marriage, frame you as vindictive. Let them try, Simone said. She'd been through too much to be intimidated by courtroom theatrics. The evidence speaks for itself. Trevor's own journal documents what he did. The medical records prove the drugs were in my system at dangerous levels. The bank records show the theft. What argument can they possibly make against facts? Never underestimate a desperate defense attorney, Jerome replied. But you're right. The facts are on our side. We just need to stay focused and not let them rattle you. The day before the trial began, Simone went to her father's grave. She hadn't been there since before Trevor started drugging her. She stood looking at the headstone, feeling the weight of everything that had happened. I saved it, Dad, she said quietly. Trevor tried to destroy what you built, but I saved it. And I made it better. I hope you'd be proud. She liked to think he would be. Her father had taught her to be tough in business but fair in dealing with people. He taught her that success meant building something lasting, something that helped others. The company was doing both now under her leadership. That night, Simone couldn't sleep. Tomorrow she'd walk into a courtroom and face Trevor for the first time since learning the truth. She'd have to sit feet away from the man who'd drugged her, stolen from her, tried to erase her. She'd have to look at his face and remember all the times he'd handed her those pills, all the nights he'd watched her drift into that fog, all the plans he'd made to destroy her life. But she also remembered the woman she'd become in the aftermath. She was stronger now. She'd rebuilt her life. She'd reclaimed her father's legacy. She'd helped other women find their voices. Trevor had tried to diminish her, and instead, he'd revealed her strength. Tomorrow she'd show him exactly what he'd awakened. Tomorrow justice would begin. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters when Simone arrived for the first day of testimony. Cameras flashed. Microphones thrust toward her face. Questions shouted from all directions. Ms. Reeves, how do you feel about facing your ex-husband? Will you be testifying today? Do you think justice will be served? Simone ignored them all, keeping her head high as she walked through the chaos. Denise was beside her, providing physical support and running interference with particularly aggressive reporters. Jerome met them at the courthouse entrance. Ready? He asked. As ready as I'll ever be, Simone replied. The courtroom was packed. Trevor's family sat on one side, glaring at Simone with unconcealed hostility. They'd been sending her threatening messages throughout the pretrial process, claiming she was destroying an innocent man, demanding she drop the charges. Simone had blocked them all and documented every message as evidence of harassment. On Simone's side of the courtroom sat her supporters, Denise, Thomas and other board members from the company, friends who'd stood by her, even some of the women who'd reached out after her story went public. Their presence gave Simone strength. And then Trevor was brought in. He looked different. Thinner. Older. The confident businessman who drugged her every night was gone, replaced by someone who looked diminished and scared. He wore an expensive suit his family must have provided, but it hung awkwardly on his reduced frame. Prison had not been kind to him. Their eyes met across the courtroom. Simone expected to feel something, anger, fear, satisfaction, but she felt nothing. This man had controlled her life for 8 months, had been her husband for 4 years, and now he was just a stranger. Someone who'd hurt her but no longer had power over her. Trevor looked away first. The prosecution's opening statement was powerful. They laid out the timeline of Trevor's abuse in stark detail. The systematic drugging. The forged documents. The embezzlement. The plan to have Simone declared incompetent. They showed Trevor's journal entries on a screen for the jury, his own words condemning him. This is not a crime of passion, the prosecutor said. This is calculated, premeditated destruction of another human being. Trevor Sterling spent months planning how to destroy his wife so completely that she'd be powerless to stop him from stealing everything she had. He drugged her. He manipulated her. He documented his crimes like they were achievements. And he would have succeeded if Simone Reeves hadn't been stronger than he ever imagined. Trevor's defense attorney tried to paint a different picture. He claimed Trevor had been trying to help Simone with sleep problems and anxiety. The medications were prescribed by doctors for legitimate purposes. Any confusion she experienced was due to stress from running a company, not drugging. The business transfers were simply Trevor trying to reduce Simone's workload. Everything could be explained innocently. "My client is not a monster," the defense attorney said. "He's a man who made some mistakes in a troubled marriage. His wife has twisted those mistakes into something sinister because she wants revenge for their failed relationship." Simone listened to this revisionist history with cold detachment. The defense was doing exactly what Jerome had predicted, trying to gaslight the jury the way Trevor had gaslit her. But they didn't have her in a drugged fog anymore. She was clear-minded and ready to fight. The prosecution called their first witness, Dr. Morrison, the physician who'd examined Simone when she first escaped. Dr. Morrison explained the drugs found in Simone's system, their effects, and the danger they posed. These medications at the levels Ms. Reeves was taking would cause severe cognitive impairment, Dr. Morrison testified. Memory loss, confusion, difficulty with decision-making. And the combination of benzodiazepines with anticholinergics is particularly concerning because it can cause permanent brain damage with prolonged use. Could these effects be accidental? The prosecutor asked. Could someone be taking these medications for legitimate health reasons and accidentally experience these side effects? Not at the dosages we found in Ms. Reeves' system, Dr. Morrison said firmly. These were far beyond therapeutic levels. And the combination of medications is not something any legitimate doctor would prescribe. This was deliberate chemical impairment. The defense attorney cross-examined, trying to suggest Simone might have been taking additional medications on her own, self-medicating perhaps. But Dr. Morrison stood firm. The evidence was clear. Next came the pharmacist who'd filled Trevor's prescriptions. He testified about Trevor's requests for specific medications, claiming they were for his mother with dementia. But then later, I saw the same medications being picked up by Mr. Sterling himself regularly. That was unusual. If they were for his mother, why wasn't she picking them up? Or a healthcare worker? The defense tried to discredit this testimony as speculation, but the pattern was damning. Simone testified on day 3. She wore a simple black suit, her hair pulled back, no jewelry except her mother's wedding ring. She wanted to look strong but not vindictive, professional but not cold. It was a careful balance. The prosecutor led her through her story chronologically. Meeting Trevor. The early days of their marriage. When the fog started. The confusion and memory loss. The night she pretended to take the pills. What she discovered in Trevor's office. Can you describe how it felt to realize your husband had been drugging you for months? The prosecutor asked. Simone looked directly at the jury as she answered. It felt like my entire reality had been a lie. I'd been blaming myself for the confusion, thinking I was going crazy or developing some terrible disease. Finding out Trevor was deliberately causing it, that he'd been stealing from me while I was impaired, that he'd planned to have me declared incompetent. It was horrifying. It was like discovering the person you trusted most in the world had been your worst enemy all along. The courtroom was silent except for her voice. Jurors leaned forward, fully engaged. Even the judge looked moved. The prosecutor asked about specific incidents. Times Simone couldn't remember conversations. Documents she didn't recall signing. The business meetings where she'd seemed confused and disoriented. Each example built the case that Trevor had systematically destroyed her cognitive function. Then came the defense's cross-examination. Trevor's lawyer tried every tactic. Suggested Simone was misremembering. Implied she'd been unstable before the alleged drugging. Questioned why she'd waited to report if the abuse was so severe. Pointed out that she'd benefited financially from Trevor's arrest. Simone remained calm through all of it. She'd prepared for these questions with Jerome. She had answers for everything. You claim my client drugged you, but isn't it true you had marital problems before the alleged drugging began? The defense attorney asked. No, Simone said clearly. Our marriage had normal disagreements, but nothing serious until I started experiencing the fog. Those problems were symptoms of the drugging, not causes of it. Isn't it convenient that you only discovered this drugging after your marriage was already failing? I discovered the drugging when I stopped taking the pills Trevor gave me and overheard him discussing his plan. The timing wasn't convenient. It was when my mind cleared enough to recognize what was happening. You've profited significantly from these accusations. Your company is doing better than ever. You've become something of a celebrity. Isn't that motivation to lie? Simone looked directly at Trevor's lawyer. The only thing I wanted was to stop being drugged and to protect my father's legacy. If you think public exposure of the worst months of my life is something I wanted, you fundamentally misunderstand trauma. I would give anything to have none of this happened. But since it did, I'm making sure Trevor faces consequences so he can't do this to anyone else. The jury seemed to respond well to her testimony. Several nodded along with her answers. A few women in the jury box looked angry on her behalf. Simone felt like they believed her, but she knew the trial wasn't over. Over the next week, more witnesses testified. Company employees who'd seen Simone's decline and Trevor's increasing control. The board members Trevor had lied to. The doctors he'd manipulated to get prescriptions. Each witness added another piece to the puzzle. Trevor's mistress, Candace, was called by the prosecution. She looked miserable on the stand, clearly regretting her involvement. She testified about the affair, about knowing Trevor was married, about him giving her jewelry and access to the vacation home. "Did Mr. Sterling ever discuss his wife's condition with you?" the prosecutor asked. "Yes," Candace said quietly. "He said she was becoming unstable. That she couldn't handle running the company anymore. That she was forgetting things and making bad decisions. Did he seem concerned about this?" "Not really. He seemed pleased, almost like it was working out in his favor." "Did you ever question why his wife's decline coincided so perfectly with his plans to take over her company?" Candace looked down. "I didn't want to question it. I wanted to believe what he told me." The defense tried to paint Candace as an unreliable witness, someone who'd turn on Trevor to save herself. But her testimony matched the documentary evidence too perfectly to be dismissed. The most damning evidence came from Trevor's own journal. The prosecutor read entries aloud, Trevor's voice from the past condemning him in the present. "Started the pills today. She didn't notice. This is easier than I thought. Increased dosage. She's definitely more confused. Perfect timing. Had her sign transfer papers. She'll never remember doing it." The jury's faces grew darker with each entry. These weren't the words of someone trying to help his wife. These were the words of someone documenting his own crime. Trevor's defense rested quickly. They had little to work with. Their main strategy was to claim the journal was taken out of context, that Trevor had been documenting concerns about his wife's health, not planning to harm her. But no one believed it. The evidence was too overwhelming. In closing arguments, the prosecutor summarized the case with devastating efficiency. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this case is about a man who valued money and power more than his wife's mind, health, or life. Trevor Sterling drugged Simone Reeves for 8 months. He stole from her company. He forged her signature on legal documents. He planned to have her declared incompetent so he could control her completely. And he documented all of it because he was so confident he'd get away with it. But he didn't get away with it. Because Simone Reeves was stronger than Trevor Sterling ever imagined. She fought back. She gathered evidence. She saved herself. And now it's your job to make sure Trevor Sterling faces consequences for what he did. Not just for Simone, but for every person who might become his victim if he's allowed to go free." The defense's closing argument tried one last time to create reasonable doubt, but it fell flat. The evidence was too clear, too documented, too damning. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. When they returned, their faces were serious but determined. The foreman stood and read the verdict. Guilty on all counts. Assault through drugging. Forgery. Fraud. Embezzlement. Identity theft. Trevor's face crumbled. His family gasped and cried. His lawyer looked defeated. Simone felt Denise grab her hand. She felt Jerome's supportive pat on her shoulder. She felt the weight of 8 months of trauma begin to lift. Justice had been served. The sentencing hearing was scheduled for the following week. As Simone left the courtroom, surrounded by supporters, she looked back one last time at Trevor being led away in handcuffs. He tried to destroy her. He'd thought she was weak enough to control, vulnerable enough to manipulate, confused enough never to fight back. He'd been wrong about all of it. And now he'd spend years in prison thinking about exactly how wrong he'd been. The sentencing hearing took place 7 days after the verdict. The courtroom was quieter this time, with fewer spectators and reporters. This was the final chapter, the closing of a painful story, and it felt more somber than dramatic. The judge reviewed the case thoroughly before pronouncing sentence. "Mr. Sterling, you have been found guilty of some of the most calculated and cruel crimes I've encountered in my career. You systematically drugged your wife, stole from her, and attempted to destroy her mental capacity for your own financial gain. The premeditation evident in your own journal entries shows a level of malice that demands serious consequences. Trevor stood with his head down, his lawyer beside him as the judge continued. This court sentences you to 7 years in state prison for assault through drugging, to run consecutively with 5 years for fraud and embezzlement. Additionally, you are ordered to pay full restitution to Ms. Reeves for all stolen assets, plus damages for medical and legal expenses. You will also be required to register as a domestic abuser upon release and will be prohibited from any contact with Ms. Reeves for life. 12 years total. Trevor would be in his mid-40s when he got out, his prime years spent behind bars. The restitution order would leave him financially devastated. His reputation was destroyed. His career was over. Simone watched him being led away and felt nothing but relief. This chapter was finally closed. Outside the courthouse, she gave a brief statement to the press. I'm grateful for the jury's verdict and the judge's sentence. What Trevor did to me was horrific, but I survived it and rebuilt my life. I hope my experience encourages other victims of abuse to come forward and seek help. Thank you to everyone who supported me through this ordeal. She didn't answer questions, just walked to the car where Denise waited. They drove in silence for a while, both processing the finality of it all. It's really over, Denise said softly. How do you feel? Lighter, Simone replied. Like I can finally breathe properly again. Trevor will be in prison for more than a decade. He can't hurt me anymore. He can't hurt anyone anymore. What now? Denise asked. What do you want to do next? Simone thought about it. Live, she said simply. I want to live without fear, without looking over my shoulder, without Trevor's shadow hanging over everything. I want to build the company into something amazing. I want to help other survivors. And I want to remember what happiness feels like. Over the next few months, Simone did exactly that. She threw herself into the company with renewed energy. The business continued to grow, expanding into 3 new states and launching an innovative line of sustainable building materials that became an industry game-changer. She also started a foundation in her father's name, providing support and resources for victims of domestic abuse. The foundation offered legal assistance, counseling services, and safe housing for people escaping dangerous situations. Simone used her own experience to guide the foundation's mission, understanding firsthand what victims needed most. And she started seeing Julian. Their first coffee meeting had been professional, discussing sustainable materials for his latest project. But it had turned into dinner, which turned into a walk through the city, which turned into hours of conversation about everything except work. Julian was easy to talk to, patient, genuinely interested in her thoughts and opinions. I should tell you about my past, Simone said during their third date, nervous about his reaction. There's some complicated history you should know about. I know, Julian said gently. Your story was all over the news. I recognized you at that first gala. Simone was surprised. You knew the whole time? I knew who you were, yes. But I wanted to get to know you as Simone, not as the woman from the headlines. You're so much more than what happened to you. They took things slowly. Simone was hyper-aware of potential red flags, cautious about trusting someone new with her heart. But Julian was patient with her wariness. When she flinched away from casual touches, he gave her space. When she needed to cancel plans because of therapy appointments or anxiety, he understood without making her feel guilty. I'm not him, Julian would say sometimes, reading her mind when she spiraled into worry. I'm not going to hurt you. And you're allowed to take all the time you need to believe that. 6 months after Trevor's sentencing, Simone realized she was genuinely happy. Not just surviving, not just getting by, but actually happy. She loved her work. She loved the foundation she'd built. She was developing a healthy relationship with someone who treated her with respect and kindness. Her nightmares about the drugging had decreased to maybe once a month instead of every night. Therapy was still ongoing. Dr. Chin warned her that trauma recovery wasn't linear, that she'd have setbacks and difficult days. But the overall trajectory was positive. Simone was learning to trust herself again, to trust her instincts, to believe she deserved good things. One evening, she had dinner with the women who'd reached out to her after her story went public. They'd formed an informal support group, meeting monthly to share experiences and strategies for healing. These women understood what she'd been through in ways nobody else could. They'd all survived similar abuse, drugging, gaslighting, financial manipulation, attempts to destroy their autonomy. You saved my life, Rachel told Simone that night. Rachel was the woman who'd first emailed her, whose ex-husband had also drugged her. If I hadn't seen your story, I never would have questioned what was happening to me. I'd still be in that fog, still losing pieces of myself every day. Other women echoed similar sentiments. Simone's decision to go public, to face trial, to refuse to settle quietly had created a ripple effect. Women everywhere were recognizing abuse they'd previously accepted or blamed themselves for. They were fighting back, gathering evidence, leaving dangerous situations. This is why I went through it all, Simone realized. So other women wouldn't have to suffer in silence. The company hit a major milestone that year, highest revenue in its history, expansion into international markets, and recognition as one of the most innovative construction supply companies in the country. At the celebration party, Thomas raised a glass to Simone. "Your father built something good," he said. "But you, Simone, you've built something exceptional. You took a company that was being destroyed from within and turned it into an industry leader. You've created jobs, pioneered sustainable practices, and shown everyone that resilience and intelligence can overcome even the most calculated abuse. Your father would be so proud. We all are." Simone looked around the room at the employees who'd stuck with the company through the chaos, at the board members who'd supported her, at Denise who'd been her rock, at Julian who'd been patient with her healing. This was her life now. This success, this community, this future she was building. Trevor had tried to take all of this from her. He tried to reduce her to a confused shell of herself, to steal her father's legacy, to erase her from her own existence. But he'd failed. She was still here, stronger than ever, thriving in ways he'd never imagined possible. Late that night, back in her apartment, a larger place now, one she'd chosen and decorated herself, Simone stood by the window looking out at the city lights. She thought about the woman she'd been 18 months ago, drowsy and confused, taking pills every night without question, losing herself piece by piece. That woman felt like a stranger now. The Simone of today was clear-eyed, confident, powerful. She'd been through hell and come out the other side not just intact but transformed. The ordeal with Trevor had revealed strength she hadn't known she possessed. Her phone buzzed with a text from Julian. "Thinking about you. Hope you're celebrating properly. You deserve every good thing." Simone smiled. She was celebrating properly. She was celebrating being alive, being free, being herself again. She was celebrating justice served and a future built on her own terms. Trevor was in prison and she was thriving. That was the best revenge she could have imagined. Not destruction but creation. Not bitterness but growth. Not letting abuse define her but using her survival to help others. She'd learned that the sweetest revenge wasn't about hurting the person who hurt you. It was about building a life so good, so full, so meaningful that the person who tried to destroy you became irrelevant. A footnote in your history, not a defining chapter. Trevor Sterling had tried to write her ending. Instead, she'd written her own beginning. And this new chapter looked beautiful. 3 years after that final drug pill, Simone stood in the executive conference room of her company's new headquarters. The building was state-of-the-art, designed by Julian's firm, featuring sustainable materials and innovative design that had won architectural awards. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered views of the city skyline. The space reflected everything the company had become: forward-thinking, strong, built to last. The magazine on the conference table featured Simone on the cover. "From Victim to Victor: How Simone Reeves Built an Empire from Ashes," read the headline. It was the third major profile of her that year. The story of her survival and success had become a case study in business schools and women's advocacy programs. But the magazine article was secondary to what was really happening today. Simone was about to sign the biggest contract in the company's history. A multi-million-dollar deal to supply materials for an entire sustainable housing development across 5 states. It was the kind of contract her father had dreamed of, the kind Trevor had tried to steal, the kind Simone had built the company strong enough to earn. "Ready?" Thomas asked, sitting beside her as the client's representatives filed in. "More than ready," Simone replied. The contract signing went smoothly. Handshakes, photographs, champagne toasts. The client's CEO, a woman named Patricia, pulled Simone aside afterward. "I want you to know," Patricia said, "we chose your company partly because of your reputation for quality and innovation, but also because of your story. You're an inspiration to everyone on my team, especially the women. What you survived and how you've thrived afterward. It matters to people." Simone had heard similar sentiments countless times, but they never stopped moving her. Her nightmare had become someone else's inspiration. Her survival had given others hope. After the clients left, Simone checked her phone and found a text from Denise. "How did it go? Also, don't forget dinner at my place tonight. I'm making your favorite." Dinner at Denise's had become a weekly tradition. Sometimes it was just the two sisters, sometimes Denise's husband joined them, and lately Julian had become a regular presence. These dinners were grounding, a reminder of what mattered most: family, connection, people who loved her unconditionally. Before leaving the office, Simone did something she'd started doing recently, checking in on the women's support group forum she'd helped establish through her foundation. The online community now had over 2,000 members, women from across the country sharing their stories and supporting each other through recovery. One new post caught her attention. "I finally left today. Found the courage because of Simone Reeves' story. If she could fight back from being drugged and robbed, I can fight back too. Thank you for showing us strength is possible." Simone typed a response, "You've shown incredible strength just by leaving. That's the hardest part. Now focus on building your life one day at a time. You deserve happiness and safety. We're all here supporting you." She logged off, feeling the familiar mix of pain and purpose that came from knowing her worst experience was helping others survive theirs. That evening at Denise's house, surrounded by family and good food and Julian's quiet presence beside her, Simone felt contentment settle over her like a warm blanket. They talked about everything and nothing: Julian's new project, Denise's promotion at work, a movie they'd all seen, plans for the upcoming holidays. Normal conversation. Normal life. It was everything Trevor had tried to take from her, everything she'd fought to reclaim. Later, as Julian drove them home, he reached over and took Simone's hand. Their relationship had evolved slowly over the past 2 years. They'd moved from cautious dating to committed partnership to genuine love. Julian had never pushed her, never demanded more than she could give, never made her feel like her trauma was a burden. "I'm proud of you," he said, glancing over at her. "The contract today, the foundation work, how you've helped so many women. You've turned something terrible into something meaningful." "I had good support," Simone replied, squeezing his hand. "I couldn't have done any of it alone." "You could have," Julian said. "You're one of the strongest people I've ever met. But I'm glad you didn't have to." They talked about marriage recently. Simone was surprised to find she wanted it, despite everything Trevor had done to poison the idea of partnership. But with Julian it felt different. Like a choice she was making freely, not a trap being set. "I'm not ready yet," she told Julian honestly. "I need more time to separate the idea of marriage from what Trevor did to me." "Take all the time you need," Julian had replied. "I'm not going anywhere." That patience, that understanding, made her trust him more than any grand gesture could have. Back at her apartment. Their apartment now, since Julian had moved in 6 months ago, Simone checked her email one last time before bed. There was a message from Jerome Patterson, her lawyer who'd become a friend. "Thought you'd want to know," the email read. "Trevor's appeal was denied today. His conviction and sentence stand. He'll serve the full 12 years unless he gets parole, which is unlikely given the nature of his crimes. This is officially over, Simone. You won completely." She read the message twice, letting it sink in. Trevor's appeal was his last chance to reduce his sentence or overturn his conviction. With that option exhausted, there was nothing left. The legal battle was truly finished. Simone should have felt triumphant. Should have felt satisfied that Trevor would spend many more years in prison. But mostly she felt nothing. Trevor had become so irrelevant to her life that even news about his fate barely registered. That, she realized, was the real victory. Not that he was punished, though he deserved it, but that he no longer mattered to her emotional landscape. He was a criminal who'd harmed her, now serving appropriate consequences. Nothing more. She thought about the woman she'd been before Trevor's abuse. Young, optimistic, perhaps a bit naive. That woman was gone, destroyed by 8 months of systematic drugging and manipulation. But the woman who'd emerged from that ordeal was someone Simone liked better. Stronger, wiser, more compassionate, more aware of her own worth. Trevor had intended to break her. Instead, he'd revealed capabilities she hadn't known she possessed. The ability to fight back while impaired. The strength to gather evidence while drugged. The courage to rebuild from nothing. The wisdom to turn trauma into purpose. The next morning, Simone woke early and went for a run along the waterfront. Exercise had become part of her healing, a way to reconnect with her body after months of being chemically controlled. She loved the feeling of her muscles working, her heart pumping, her mind clear and sharp. She ran past the spot where she'd scattered some of her father's ashes years ago. She paused there, catching her breath, thinking about what he'd taught her. Success, her father had once said, isn't about never falling down. It's about what you build after you get back up. She'd fallen hard. Trevor had pushed her down and tried to keep her there with drugs and manipulation. But she'd gotten back up, and what she'd built afterward was magnificent. The company was worth 3 times what it had been when Trevor was arrested. The foundation had helped hundreds of women escape abuse. She'd published articles about recognizing invisible abuse that had been read by millions. She'd testified before legislators about the need for better laws protecting drugging victims. She'd created something meaningful from something terrible. That afternoon, Simone had lunch with Rachel and 3 other women from the support group. They met quarterly now, checking in on each other's progress, celebrating victories, providing support through setbacks. "I got the promotion," Rachel announced proudly. "After everything my ex put me through, after losing 2 years of my career while I was too drugged to function properly, I finally made it to senior management." They all cheered. Each woman at the table had similar stories of rebuilding careers, reclaiming lives, proving their abusers hadn't broken them. They were teachers, lawyers, nurses, entrepreneurs. They'd all survived invisible abuse and come out stronger. "What's your next goal?" one woman asked Simone. "Honestly?" Simone thought about it. "I want to grow the foundation to national scale. I want to establish legal funds for abuse victims who can't afford good lawyers. I want to make sure no woman has to fight alone the way I initially did." "And personally?" Rachel asked with a knowing smile. "How are things with Julian?" Simone couldn't help smiling. "Really good. Really healthy. It's everything a relationship should be, built on respect, honesty, mutual support. He makes me happy." "You deserve happiness," Rachel said firmly. "After everything, you deserve all the happiness in the world." That evening, Simone attended a gala for her foundation. Hundreds of people had come to support the cause, including several women she'd personally helped escape abusive situations. One young woman approached her, tears in her eyes. "You saved my life," she said. "Your story helped me realize my boyfriend was drugging me just like Trevor drugged you. I got out before he could steal everything. Thank you for being brave enough to tell your story publicly. These moments made everything worthwhile. The public exposure, the painful trial, the invasion of privacy, it had all served a purpose." Simone's nightmare was preventing other women's nightmares. Late that night, back home with Julian, Simone reflected on how far she'd come. 3 years ago, she'd been taking pills every night, losing herself piece by piece, while Trevor plotted her destruction. Now she was running a thriving company, leading a successful foundation, in a healthy relationship, and genuinely happy. "What are you thinking about?" Julian asked, seeing her thoughtful expression. "Revenge," Simone said, and at his concerned look, she laughed. "Not that kind of revenge. I'm thinking about how the best revenge isn't destruction. Is this building a life so good that the person who tried to break you becomes completely irrelevant." Julian pulled her close. "You've done more than that. You've built something extraordinary. Trevor tried to erase you, and instead, you became unforgettable." It was true. Her story was taught in women's studies classes and business schools. Her success was documented in case studies and magazine profiles. Her foundation helped hundreds of women every year. Trevor had tried to make her disappear, and instead, she'd become highly visible, but on her own terms, for her own reasons. 3 years and countless victories after that last drug pill, Simone had proven something essential. Abusers don't win. They may cause pain, they may create trauma, they may destroy parts of you. But they don't win unless you let them define your future. Trevor Sterling was in prison, serving a 12-year sentence for trying to destroy her. His name was synonymous with domestic abuse and financial fraud. He'd lost everything: his freedom, his reputation, his future. Simone Reeves was free, successful, happy, and helping others find their own freedom. Her name was synonymous with resilience, strength, and survival. She'd gained everything: her company, her independence, her voice, her purpose. The revenge she'd taken wasn't violent or bitter. It was living well. It was building better. It was showing the world that attempted destruction can become the foundation for magnificent creation. Trevor had drugged her every night, thinking each pill made her weaker. He'd never imagined that his own cruelty would ultimately make her unbreakable.